Hello everyone. So I'm getting ready to do a 4-piston upgrade on the Trailblazer, and I figured I'd document it because I don't think there's any videos out there of this. So might as well start from ground zero. Here's one caliper, which is a driver's side that I was able to find at GM, thankfully. And here's the other side, which is the passenger side that I couldn't find. So found that at a local junkyard, thankfully, and got it reasonably priced. I think I paid 75 bucks for this, and then from the dealer, this one was like around 120, 130, right around there. It's a 4-piston caliper that's off of a 19 to 22 Silverado, and then some Tahoes and Escalades. You'd have to do more digging to get like the exact ones. What kind of sucks that I just was realizing earlier was, so one thing I'm doing is I'm shaving what they call the hump. Either it's more or less for aesthetics. Some people do it for clearance, but I did it for aesthetics. I hope it doesn't hurt the caliper at all. I wasn't able really to find a good answer. Some people were saying, oh, I'll never shave a caliper, and others were like, it's just fine. I mean, if you shave it and there's nothing there, then you're good. I'm gonna end up painting them black. But so these, again, this is a left side and right side. They're facing the same way, and they're a little bit different. Down here you can kind of see how the edge is kind of tapered, which over here it has, this whole entire area. Not really worried about it. I think both sides are like that, actually. Yeah, this side's got the same thing going on. Overall, it seems like they're the same height and everything, so it should be fine. But I figured I'd start recording here and then update as we go. To add them on the Blazer is a simple reaming you have to do. So you have to make the hole in the spindle a little bit bigger to fit the caliper bolts. It's even the same bolt too, so that's pretty cool. And this is old hardware from the caliper I got at the junkyard. Obviously I'm putting new pads and everything on it, but the overall design of the calipers pretty simple. I mean, they come out from, you don't have to pull the rotor if you're just going to do pads for whatever reason. They actually just sit in through the back side like that. If I can sneak it in, they slide in, and then there's a pin that you kind of push in from one side. It goes to the caliper, other caliper, and then it has this again, I'm not exactly sure it is, but it's more or less just like a holder of the pins, and then it might be the spring. It pushes them out too. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping the overall install goes pretty smooth. I do have also all stainless braided hose also to go with it, with the front and the rear. I'm doing the rear too, and just doing all new rotors and pads. But yeah, so I'll like I said, I'll keep you guys updated. If anybody else is interested in shaving them, the way I did this one at least is I use this what I believe it's called like a cutoff wheel Dremel or whatever, and I put a stone attachment on it, and then basically just kind of took most of the meat off of it, and then finished it off with the angle grinder and 36 grit. And I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, probably gonna kind of DA a little bit smoother, but it knocked it down, and it's smooth. So yeah, I mean, I'll do this one and then I'll show you guys how that looks, and hopefully either get them primed sometime soon so then I can paint them black, just gloss black, and then I'll start the install process. And again, I hope it goes smooth, but it's been done before, so it isn't the first time. I've seen a couple on the forums, so I'm gonna give it a shot myself, just because it's a cheap upgrade to have 4 pistons, which is better than going to 6 pistons and spending $2,000 on that. So I'm gonna give this a shot, and hopefully it works. Worst case, I mean, I think I paid for like 400 bucks for all the new rotors, all 4 corners, and then these pads, which I'm into them for a little over 200. So all in all, I'm into it for about $600-700, which isn't bad at all, minus obviously the steel braided lines, which were a decision I wanted to do. But it's not necessary, but they say it's a good upgrade. But all right, I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Cool, so here's a little halfway update. I didn't get to work on them when I first recorded, which was yesterday, but I started on it this morning, and so far I think I'm into like 15 minutes or so, and it's probably a little warm, but I have over 50% of it kind of shaved off. So I'm gonna keep going, and then I'll update you guys once the whole hump is gone, and then I have grounded all around. But again, using the stone on the cutoff wheel tool, but it's getting there. So a little update, here's the caliper that I was shaving the hump off. It is completely off. Overall, I guess pretty happy, except when the stone like comes off the hump, it like kind of gouges the already flat surface. So I mean, a little bit too deep. I don't want to keep going, so I'm just gonna leave them at that. And I went ahead and hit all the edges and just knocked off all the cast part of it as best as I can, just to make it look a little better. I mean, I do plan on priming these, so yeah. I mean, the only thing that's left is on the new one that I have, is to kind of just shave the castings off all the way around, just to kind of match the face of it so it doesn't look too far off. I'm just gonna wire wheel the rest of it and kind of clean it up, so like the whole back half of it. I mean, this probably the same thing, just to give it a little bite. Just be careful around the bleeder, and it should be all good. And at that point, just basically prime them, let them dry, and then just give them a quick sand, and then paint them gloss black. So I'm excited. Hopefully, maybe this weekend I'll throw them on, just depending how the schedule goes. But I mean, they look amazing to me, so it's the better way to go. I mean, leaving the hump on there, they just kind of look, I mean, OEM in a way, but this way it gives them kind of like that more Brembo look to them. So I'm excited to see how they perform. Cool. So here we have the calipers all sanded down, kind of self-explanatory. I used 80 grit on the DA, and then finished them off with 180 after 36 grit on the angle grinder. 36 grit, and then I believe 50 grit, and then I went to 80, and then finished it off with 180, which should be ready for primer. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's just a caliper. I'm using automotive paint on it, so hopefully I don't have any issues. But obviously the smart thing is to do powder coating, but you have to disassemble all the pistons and everything, and it's something I just don't want to do right now. So worst case, come down the road if the paint starts failing on it and I've had some miles on them and I'm happy, I can take them off, take them apart, and then have them powder coated. But as of now, I'm going to give automotive primer and paint a shot and see what it does. So yeah, hopefully I'll prime them sometime tomorrow, if not sometime soon, let's just put it that way, and then I'll update you guys then. So last time you guys saw, these brake calipers were all grounded, and I was going to say I was going to paint them, ended up painting them. I just did them really quick. I mean, they're just brake calipers, so it's nothing too crazy. All I did is I acid etched them, and then I painted them in black single stage urethane. Don't know if it's gonna last. It's kind of an experiment. I should have Cerakoted them in hindsight, but I guess we'll find out. Nonetheless, they're installed now, as you guys can tell. So I did new rotors also from R1 Concepts. I'll probably drop in all the part numbers on the bottom. So these are R1 Concepts, just slotted rotors. I've heard, actually I experienced on mine, the drilled ones, they had a bunch of heat cracks in them, so hopefully, and they were warped, so hopefully I don't have any issues with these. And then the brake caliper is on. So the 4-piston 19 to 21 Silverado with I also put steel braided brake lines on, just because I was kind of scared of the rubber ones to collapse at some point, because they were getting close to 20 years old. So did these, and then they just mounted onto the factory spot. I didn't mount the backside because at the opposite turning, so when you're turning to the left, it stretches it too much on this side. So this way it gives you enough slack and it doesn't seem like it'll hit anything. I'll probably just zip tie this somewhere, or I mean leave it. It's not gonna hurt anything either way. But so on the spindle itself, so if that's probably, the lighting's not going to be good in here. So on the spindle itself, you can kind of see here the reflecting. So there's a washer in there, which is, if I remember correctly, was an M8, just I guess standard washer from Harbor Freight, and it measured out at 3/32 seconds. So with my calipers, so that's what I had to do in order to somewhat center it. I mean, it's not perfectly center, but I think brakes, they have a tolerance on them, so it's more or less centered in that aspect. So obviously new pads in there, and then these are your pins that hold in your pads, and basically this is, I think they call them a spring that pushes out your pads when you're off the brake pedal. But yeah, otherwise it was honestly a really smooth install. This is the tool that I used to ream out that hole. It literally wasn't much at all. It was kind of a surprise of how easy it was to basically bolt these calipers on. Again, stock bolts on the stock spindle with literally just a shim for for your 4-piston upgrade. I mean, that's kind of it. I mean, I didn't record exactly the whole thing just because it was kind of like a mess. But overall, super easy. And the rear also did stainless braided line, and that's kind of it. Bleeded the whole system, put new brake fluid in, and also new rotors, new pads on the rear, stock Trailblazer stuff, and also stock Trailblazer rotor in the front. Can't forget that. But yeah, so that was super smooth install. So I'm looking forward to driving it. Should feel firmer brake pedal just through this upgrade, and I don't know if I'll feel the difference for the 4 pistons, but nonetheless, it's an upgrade. So I'm definitely excited. I forgot to show the other side. Well, I guess the other side in retrospect to the brake line. So again, when you're turning to the, I guess on that side it was left, this side it's right. You can see, like, if I were to stretch this, it puts a lot of strain on that line. So, and that's not even touching yet. So it's might be because of the brake swap. I'm not entirely sure. The caliper might have something to do with it. So again, I'll put all the part numbers of all the stuff that I use, but it's straightforward to install. All you have is your normal brake line coming here, and then just your block, and you bolt that up in there, and it all goes in super smoothly. And then down here, you just have your banjo bolts. Could be wrong there, but yeah, so your bolts, and that's kind of more or less it. Like I said, I'm looking forward to driving it, and it'll be exciting. So, I mean, especially with the wheel on there, I'll probably do a little walk around with it once the wheel's on. But once the wheel's on, it actually looks really good. And you need also a spacer. That's a 3/4 inch spacer. I read on the internet you needed inch spacers. So I was kind of nervous initially, but again, mine's shaved, and that shim. So it's I'll show again after the wheel's on, just to kind of, you know, show you guys what to expect. But minimum is 3/4 inch. Maybe without the hump shaved, you might get away with it. I'm not sure, but with a hump shaved, for sure 3/4 inch. You might need an inch if you leave the hump on there. Some people are against shaving calipers, which again is probably fine, but I decided to shave them because I like the look of it. So I'll show you guys here in a little bit once I get it all together and back on the ground. Cool, so I got the wheel on. I figured it's probably smarter to show you guys with it in the air so I can spin it freely, so we can check clearances. Again, 3/4 inch spacer, but so down here, I'll use my finger if I can even sneak it in there. So right at the very corner, it's super tight. Like, well, super tight in retrospect to finger. If I had to guess measurement wise, it's probably 1/4 inch. So a 1/4 inch right here gap. Again, a shaved hump. So if you still had a hump on it, the hump was pretty big. I'm gonna say it won't clear with a 3/4 inch spacer. You for sure need an inch spacer up front if you're trying to not molest the caliper or not alter it in any way. That'll be the only way you'll be able to clear this brake setup. But again, 3/4 inch and shaved hump, and it clears it just enough to where I shouldn't ever have to have any issues with it. But let's kind of see it rotating. So still haven't driven it, but overall aesthetically, I mean, it just complements it so much better, just because it, you know, actually gives it a real caliper in there. Before, the other one was just so much smaller than that one. That's basically it. I mean, there's nothing else to it. I'll go ahead and then put it on the ground and kind of wrap up this video. I mean, I might do a little comparison after I drive it for a little bit, see if I notice any differences when I do kind of like a little breakdown and a show around the Trailblazer, see for those that are actually curious about it. But hopefully by then I'll have some miles on it, and I'll be able to kind of, you know, give a good opinion on the brakes, if they're worth it or not. I mean, again, I'm only into them with like $200, a little over $200, and just the 4-piston portion of it. So overall, I think it's a smoking deal. In just, you know, just in the idea that you're going from 2-piston to 4-piston, and also the contact pad, you can kind of see it where it's kind of been scraping, which is a little bit above that that slot cutout, but you can kind of see roughly right there. And then this is a factory rotor that was on there. I should say factory, but the rotor that was on there with the factory calipers, and you can see kind of the same idea. So it's missing this whole section, and again, we're still kind of missing that whole area there. So really, it's the same contact patch, but more force here because you have, I mean, more fluid moving, and you got 4 pistons. So theoretically, the clamping force here should be stronger. It's kind of my thought process. Either way, even if it's not, I've always wanted to do a brake upgrade, so this is my first one, and I mean, I'm pleased with it. So it looks good. I like the whole stock look. So that is perfectly for me. It's perfectly fine for me. So again, I'm excited to drive it. So hopefully I notice a good difference in it. So until the next one, I'll talk to you guys later.